When NBN News caught up with Dr Tind in early January, he was dreading rather than looking forward to his impending retirement. Worried his patients would have nowhere else to go, he endeavoured to find his own replacement but was unsuccessful and closed his surgery for the last time on January 31. He was the third doctor to depart from the East Lakes area in the past 6 months, leaving thousands of people with no GP.
All our local doctors have closed their books, not because they don't want to help these people, but because they're under such enormous strain.
Compounding the problem is the fact that the Shortland electorate is the 10th oldest in Australia, and older people need more doctors, not less.
They're sicker, they need more support from their doctor, and it also means that they're unable to travel distances to see a doctor.
Jill Hall says part of the reason it's so difficult to secure doctors in the area is because we're classified as having the same need as Sydney.
We're different to Sydney, we're being discriminated against, and it's about time that the government acted and cut the red tape so as that the people of this area can get the doctor services and the medical services that they need.
A motion has been lodged to have the matter debated in Parliament. Jessica Phillis, NBN News.
These are some of the images Film Hunter is sending to producers across the world in a bid to sell the region as a shooting location. From blue coastal waters to barren sand dunes and rural settings, the locally produced CD-ROM showcases the options for film and TV.
The CD-ROM is the first port of call for us to really engage the wider film and TV industry. It showcases over 120 new locations and really urges the user to contact us for more locations or to visit the website.
Unfortunately, the Hunter missed out on a recent commercial for American incontinence pads, but not to worry. Christine says there's plenty more jobs in the pipeline.
We had an Indian delegation here in January and we're hoping that we'll have a whole Bollywood film based here this year. We also have lots of TV commercials up our sleeve. We had a Korean TV commercial last week and a Japanese commercial for cling wrap that's setting to shoot in the next couple of weeks.
The movie business is bringing about $1 million a year to the Hunter, but according to the Film Office, there's the potential for much more business, especially now armed with its new CD and website. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
If you think $2 doesn't buy much, well, admission to Maitland Super Show is providing its own meaning on value for money. And it's because of Sideshow Alley drawing one of the biggest collections of amusement rides on the Australian agricultural show circuit that the admission price is kept low.
Well, we do it because we're helping the Showman's Guild. They supply us a certain amount of money to offset the cost of running the show. Without that, of course, we wouldn't be able to charge that. But when we were charging a lot more, we weren't getting people through the gate.
Schoolies Day launched the Super Show with the competitive lessons either at the junior cattle judging or in centre ring at the camp draft. The animal nursery allowed pupils to get up close and personal with the feathered and the furry, while in Showbag Alley the shutters were open for commerce. And being Maitland Show, that question about the weather was on everybody's mind.
Looks like we might have, but the naughty clouds will make them up over there, but they'll mean nothing, I hope.
Even after 145 years, this lunchtime downpour proved there are some traditions you just can't beat. Gary Blair, NBN News.
The Newcastle Knights always expected plenty of interest in the coaching position since Parramatta signed Michael Hagan for next season. However, the coverage of almost every move in finding a replacement has caused concern, with information only a few in the club have been privy to openly reported.
Leak? How about flood? Yes, it has been an issue for me. I'm not going to duck that one.
It's not the look the club is after, given Tigers coach Tim Sheens rejected an offer early this week and was followed yesterday by Canberra's Matthew Elliott.
The process might have taken a bit longer than he would have liked, but I think we had to examine and explore the options that were open to us.
Andrew Johns as captain coach can be ruled out.
I might have a trouble keeping the discipline in check if I was captain coach.
Sitting out of the trial match against Penrith tomorrow night looks like a good miss, given the temperature come kick-off at Alice Springs is expected to have cooled to around 37 degrees.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be hot up here. Probably not this hot.
Water intake has been the key, but the heat has already been ruining some simple mathematics.
They should have, eight quarters up here, I think.
We all know what he means, because 2 games would just be cruel. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
We are expecting Boeing to appeal the process, but we do believe that there will be an arbitrated outcome at the end of the day.
Oh, well, it's quite exciting really to go back to work, you know, to have some security for your future. But on the other hand, it's a little bit scary or worrisome as well.
International Air Parts, the owners of Aero Pelican, was attempting to force the council to compulsorily buy the airport property, but the Land and Environment Court has dismissed the request. Mayor Greg Piper says it's a positive step towards aircraft returning to the Pelican Strip.
We're just delighted because it allows us now to speak with the owner and other interested parties about reinstating an air service here.
The decision's also been welcomed by members of the community that don't want to see the site become a residential development.
It's important to keep as an airport because it brings tourists to the area, provides jobs, and it also allows for commuter airport between Sydney and Newcastle.
Central Coast sent the Jets home without the win they needed, and the feeling was easily summed up.
Yeah, a little bit. I think empty's a good word, you know. I honestly think the better team over the two games lost the game.
The Jets certainly didn't go down without a fight. Jade North had Dean Heffernan heading south, while Liam Reddy settled in at the back after his disruptive week. But he must have been happy Nicky Carl bobbed up where he did. What a block it was by the midfielder, but the opening goal was the real highlight via Matt Thompson. An absolute cracker, but even the striker himself took the longer view today.
I sort of think about it and think the game before that, I could have scored a couple more. You know, if I had done that, it would have been a different story this week.
It was the harsh reality after the Central Coast levelled, knowing a draw would see them advance to the next stage of the finals. Dean Heffernan's header signalling a frantic final few minutes as the Jets searched for a winner. A handball denying Franco Parisi his shot at glory as Newcastle's inaugural A-League season came to an end. Player retention now returns as a club priority.
We have given a little bit of thought to it over the last 2 or 3 months, so we're not going into it cold, but now we can sit down and make those tough decisions that have to be made.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, and Jamie Pittman had one lit right inside for his shot at the national title. A head cut in the second round hardly hurt the southpaw, who was content on handing out some punishment of his own. He had Les Sherrington all at sea, wobbly legs and all. In the fourth, Pittman ended it in style. His fifth knockout in 7 wins as a pro. Kisses for the crowd and a belt that'll take some fighting to get off him. At Taree, Newcastle is shaping as the team to beat in both the men's and women's divisions of the State District Water Polo Championships. And Hunter Valley motorcycle stars Kevin Curtin and Brock Parks will start from the front row of the grid in tomorrow's World Supersport round at Phillip Island. It wasn't a night for crowd spotting, which was a shame considering the international field on show. Such was the talent at Brisbane. 2 100-metre men's finals were raced, but starts continue to dog Joshua Ross, who took off in the middle but was forced to play second fiddle. The 3-time national champion beaten into third by local rival Patrick Johnson. He was still a winner though in Newcastle overnight, where he was named the Lord Mayor's Sportsperson of the Year. After winning the stall gift for a second time, racing into a World Championship semi-final and claiming another national title, he was hard to beat. Among the field though, a pair of Commonwealth Games bound basketballers, the most capped female Australian soccer player and the incumbent Kangaroo captain.
Wagons were once again being filled in the Cessnock coalfields this morning. 2,000 tonnes was loaded from the Ozstar mine, which is the new name for the old Southland mine. On Christmas Eve 2003, an underground fire broke out in the Southland mine, forcing its closure. The operation has since been purchased and reopened by Yanzhou Coal. Executives from the Chinese company were there for today's first shipment, also getting to know the local workers. Including 4 full-time interpreters, the reopened mine now employs 200 people.
More than half of those workers come from our local government area.
And because the mine was a distressed asset, it's very difficult to attract people back, but once you do get some people coming back, it sort of grows.
The train left the coalfields heading to the Port of Newcastle. With the Ozstar mine now in operation, the South Maitland Railway has been reopened for the first time in more than 2 years. Road users are being warned, with the line now in use, road signs must again be obeyed at 7 level crossings around Cessnock, Curry and Loxford. Todd Nardi, NBN News.
It was an emotional pilgrimage down Stockton Beach for the group of former RAAF apprentices, marking the 45th anniversary of their enlistment. The convoy carried special significance for veterans and their families, gathering to remember a fallen comrade. Almost 30 years ago, a young flight lieutenant and father of 2, Bill Vanderberg, died when his Mirage jet fighter crashed into the sea on its return from a night training mission.
It was a tragic loss. It's pretty sad to lose anybody, but more tragic to lose a young man like Bill in the prime of his life and serving his country and unexplainably lost.
A floral tribute was floated out from near the Cygna wreck, which itself has become a landmark for homecoming pilots.
We really went through a maturing aspect together where we had shared experiences from those early years, and it's created a bond that's just a special bond.
As opposing coaches prepare to watch their future clubs fight out the opening round, another matchup looms between old teammates. Newcastle centre Matt Gidley will mark former knight Tamana Tahu, and both know each other's game inside out.
He'll no doubt be one of the guys they go to create some opportunities for them. So, I mean, we all know Tamana as good as anyone.
Their partnership was instrumental at times for both the Knights and Blues, but after a season already at Parramatta, Tahu won't be doing Newcastle any favours.
I think last year if I did play up there it would have been a little bit emotional for me, but now, it's just another team, another game, and I'm looking forward to it.
As is Regan Tanner. Having played in every game last year, he'll begin this one in the starting 13. It's just reward for the Curry Junior, named ahead of Kirk Reynoldson at lock.
I've got to repay that with not only a good performance on the weekend, but throughout the year.
And with a new season comes a new look, according to George Carmont at least, who's lost the ponytail. No new locks, just a new coat for Milo the Goat. Thanks to his fanatical owner at Fennell Bay, Milo's gone all out to show his true colours. The Knights yet to accept his offer as the club's official mascot. Adam McKilrick, NBN News.
We shouldn't need any motivating to play well. There's going to be a big crowd out there. It's the opener for the season against the Premiers, and they're the team who knocked us out of the competition last year.
He was riding solo today, but biker Kevin Priestley will line up with 200 other riders to help those who are less fortunate during the winter months.
It feels good because you're doing something for the people who haven't got much and that sort of stuff. It's good.
Also known for their Christmas toy run, the bikers will load up with blankets and tinned food on March 19th, carrying their cargo from Sandgate to Bar Beach. Now in its 8th year, the appeal has pulled in plenty of support in the past. Last year, the bikers donated around 60 blankets and 10 boxes of canned food to Newcastle's Salvation Army Community Services Centre.
It's just one of those things that we count on now, year in, year out, so we depend on them.
And while the shelves at the Salvation Army aren't bare yet, the precious goods will be very much in need come winter time.
We try and give people food vouchers as often as we can, but we still need a stock of food for those times when food vouchers don't work for some families. And the same with blankets. I mean, we just don't have the money to send people out to buy blankets.
The Salvation Army is also calling on the public to donate goods for families in need. Kate Goscombe, NBN News. Thousands of kilometres from home and all on his own. This rare white-tailed tropic bird, usually found off the east coast of North Queensland, is a rare sight in this part of the country.
I haven't ever seen one before in the 16 years I've been caring, so it's very, very rare, very good privilege to have something like that come in.
The young male was found on the golf course at Fern Bay 6 days ago. It's believed he became lost after being caught in a strong wind current during last week's storms. Margaret Howley from the Native Animal Trust Fund quickly took him under her wing, feeding him whitebait and helping to prepare for the ride home.
In the last few days I've had him out on a shell pond full of water where he can oil his feathers so that he's waterproof for his flight home.
With his feathered friends looking on, the young bird quietly departed for his release 5 nautical miles off Nobby's Head. Kate Goscombe, NBN News.
Forensic police were sifting through debris this morning while detectives canvassed the area in the hope of finding clues as to how the explosion occurred. This 2-storey townhouse in the centre of a block of 3 being built next to Islington Park sustained substantial structural damage. The glass windows and garage door were blown out and brickwork cracked, but the cause is still unknown.
At this stage, police are no clearer as to what's actually caused the explosion. We'll be waiting on further expert examination of the scene tomorrow to try and determine that.
Islington residents were given a jolt in the early hours of this morning.
Just got back into bed and then I felt a pressure and then boom. It was obviously a big explosion because you could feel it as well as hear it.
Detectives have ruled out a gas explosion. It's yet to be connected to the townhouses.
At this stage, there's definitely something suspicious with regard to the explosion. To what extent that is, it can't be determined at this stage.
Anyone with information should contact Newcastle Police. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Tyre choice can mean everything at this event. 95% of the race run on bitumen. The rest is all off-road.
The concept of this, it gets all the road races, your dirt track riders, your motocross, your supercross, your enduro riders. Every discipline can come and ride this and can be all good at it. It's a case of finding the best.
Stuart Bennett from Orange is the best after round 1 of 6 in the top class, heading into this weekend's event at Cameron Park. It hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Troy Herfoss from Goulburn, who crashed out of contention at the same event last year.
Broke my arm in 2 places and ended my championship hopes, so that was pretty disappointing.
It was but a mere memory at today's practice round though, as riders came to grips with the track combination.
You've got to ride around there on tentative toes all the time. You've got to be careful what you do, but you've got to get fast. So it does make it quite difficult.
You can lose a race so easily on the dirt, but you really got to be careful there. And a lot of passing goes on the dirt too, because it's easy to make a mistake.
Adam McIlrick, NBN News.
The excitement is back. The greatest game of all kicks off again tonight. And like last year, it'll be a tight competition with plenty of upsets. No real firm favourites, and picking a round will be a rarity in the tipping competition. Plenty of headlines in league this week, but the scene stealer has been the coaching issue. Newcastle, with Parramatta's Brian Smith, officially getting the nod on Wednesday. And look, yes, it is an unusual scenario with Newcastle and Parramatta set to swap coaches in 12 months' time. But even more ironic is the fact that these current teams should meet in the first round. A lot has been said, and let me put some issues to bed right now from the outset. The answer to the question, should these 2 coaches swap right now, the answer to this is no. And while it will be considered, there is just going to be too many difficulties in place. It's also been suggested that Brian Smith was the 3rd and 4th choice on the Knights' priority list. Now, the truth is, early on, his appointment wasn't considered appropriate due to the coach swapping scenario and the obvious baggage that comes with that. However, as the process unfolded, he stood out as the obvious choice. Brian's appointment fits the bill for the club's future, but right now it's 2006 that matters. As for the season, while I think the Dragons and the Roosters will be hard to beat overall, watch out for the Broncos, Sea Eagles and the Knights to be big improvers. Now, on to the tips tonight. I like the Dragons. 3 games tomorrow. The Knights over the Eels, the Bulldogs and the Raiders also to win. On Sunday, the Storm, Broncos and Roosters look like they're good things as well. Enjoy the football, it's back. Good luck for your tips. I'll see you next week.
Ballistics and explosives experts combed the 2-storey townhouse today, identifying that the blast came from the kitchen.
They've obtained numerous exhibits from inside. They'll then be taken back to Sydney for further analysis.
There was no electrical fault and no gas connection, leaving little doubt this was deliberate. The townhouse which suffered the most damage is also the only one which has been sold. The entire development will need to be checked by a structural engineer before any work resumes.
I'm surprised it's happened and disappointed for the developer, and it's going to make his job a little bit harder to get on and finish his building there.
Locals say firecrackers are common, but they didn't expect a blast of this nature. The selling agent was quick to bury any suggestion of bad blood between the developer and community.
We don't know of any vendettas there against anybody. As I said, I think it's just random. It's unfortunate.
The remaining 2 townhouses are owned by the locally based developer. He wouldn't speak on camera today, only to say he was most concerned. Witnesses have given their accounts. What caused the explosion could be known by Monday. Adam McIlrick, NBN News.
He was just a babe when his father was in his prime at Newcastle. These days, Sam Stewart Jr. is all grown up and following in his father's footsteps. Well, almost. Unlike his father, young Sam is a halfback with the club's under-18s team, the first son of a former Knights player to make the grade.
It's nice to watch your kids do well and chase a dream that you once chased, and so I just encourage them as much as possible, and it's just great to be here to watch them go around.
Now based on the Gold Coast, the Red and Blue of Newcastle still runs thick in the Stewart family, with Sam knocking back interests from the new Titans franchise to pursue his league dream at the Knights. He wasn't far from the action today, but while his game doesn't exactly mirror his dad's, there's still one family trait that's hard to miss.
Yeah, he could have pulled his socks up, couldn't he?
As for a career in the game, his father knows just how tough it'll be, but knows his namesake will give himself every chance.
I know he's going to try his best at everything he does, and that's all I ask. And if he enjoys along the way, and he turns up and ends up playing soccer, well, I'm just as proud of him then.
As you can imagine, she's not happy, Jill. Waking to the National News this morning, Jill Hall became informed of the personal attack fired from unnamed Labor colleagues. As the saying goes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and in this case it seems her anger is for good reason. She says she's a hard-working MP fighting for her community.
I've made more speeches than any backbencher on our side of the House. So I think that my contributions within the Parliament speak for themselves.
She was straight on to Kim Beazley's office this morning, demanding he pulls into line those involved and ensures the party members start to work together before more damage is done.
But I think it's very destructive. I think that what we should be concentrating on is the Howard government, their poor performance, what's happening with the Australian Wheat Board.
And member for Charlton Kelly Hoare agrees she was another named on the list.
Being in opposition is about trying to get into government, and that's not what we're doing at the moment, and we should all get back to our jobs and stop this infighting and this muck-raking.
A spokesperson for Kim Beazley today dismissed the claims made about the 8 MPs as nonsense. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
If the number of apprentices training at Glendale TAFE is any indication, the car industry is certainly trying to address the shortage of tradespeople. NRMA Insurance is now joining in using its Jumpstart program to get more than 20 young people into the smash repair business. It comes as the company begins moving on from the recent dispute with the local industry.
I think there's been a lot of issues that we've been trying to work through with the smash repair industry over the last 12 months, and one of the things that they have been telling us is that there are shortages of labour and skills out there in the industry.
18 local repairers will employ trainees, with the firm to pay $100,000 to cover the cost of putting participants through a one-year national pilot TAFE training program.
TAFE New South Wales can only do so much, but when an industry actually puts their encouragement and support and dollars into it and encourages their people to take on trainees, you must be on a winner.
And as the Country North Vehicle Repairers Association continues to comprehend NRMA Insurance's snap end to their 10-month battle, the industry is counting the costs.
Probably around about 30 shops had to lay off staff, and one shop in particular had to put 7 staff off, so it did take a toll.
Even though policyholders can select their preferred smash repairer from May 1, NRMA Insurance will continue to use the controversial web-based repair management tendering, a quoting system Newcastle repairers insist they'll continue to fight to have scrapped. Gary Blair, NBN News.
It's not an attractive sight, a mountain of rubbish greeting passers-by in Macquarie Drive, Belmont.
It's an absolute shame, disgusting, scared to let my kids out, like with all the rubbish. It's appalling, like it puts us down.
Concerned mother Kylie Foster and Marion Brodie are ashamed to call this place home, with neighbours dumping these items over the last month. They say it's hard enough to shake negative images of public housing residents, and this situation is only going to fuel such prejudice.
Some of us try to keep our places clean and tidy and everything, but people come along and just throw it out willy-nilly and what have you and they've got no pride.
And the issue isn't just about aesthetics, there are also health and safety concerns.
I think it's absolutely disgusting. The kids get out here just about every day and they're in the pile and they're breaking it all up. They're using the mattresses there and that as a trampoline.
While the council said it's not their responsibility, there is some good news, with the Department of Housing caving into community concerns this afternoon. They'll remove the pile in the next few days. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
25-year-old Daniel Clark has achieved more than most do in a lifetime. He owns and manages 3 companies and has snatched a string of business industry awards. The Sydney entrepreneur an example of what young people are capable of achieving through a new website called Youthmark.
It recognises that young people can be successful in business and that it can actually encourage them to move forward.
The website, launched today, provides a service where young Australians up to the age of 25 can display and sell their products. It aims to encourage young people to set up their own company and help provide a smooth transition into adulthood and the workplace.
We are here to support you, improve what you want to do, be passionate about something. Let's face it, things that change the world are usually people who are passionate about something.
The site also provides an online mentoring service where professionals can teach users a wide range of skills.
They want to learn how to be better at what they're doing. Well, they can ask us on Youthmark for a skills coach.
Kate Goscombe, NBN News.
So today it is with great pleasure that I announce the NBL will take the first step in expanding its reach and its relevance by entering the Asian market as of September 2006.
At the night's weekly media conference, it was a case of, if we don't talk about Brian Carney's embarrassing night on the grog, it might go away sooner.
Oh, look, I've had all I've got to say about Brian Carney.
The club is also hypersensitive about the impact more alcohol-related problems could have on their newly secured sponsorship deals. At today's Newcastle Business Club lunch, Knights chairman Mike Tyler reminded us just how bad things were only a year ago.
12 months ago, we were in a lot of trouble. We financially were in a lot of trouble. We didn't have the sponsorship that we have today, and we just weren't quite sure how we're going to pay our bills. Today we're in a much stronger position. Sponsors have been very generous.
Meantime, Clint Newton has been ruled out for at least a month after breaking 2 small bones in his back during Saturday's win over Parramatta.
It's disappointing for Clint because it's the first time he has started a season in a number of years, and I guess we've started with our best team for a long while, but I think with Kirk Reynoldsson coming into the team and Todd Lowry, who was one of our very good players at the back end of last year.
The Knights play the Raiders in Canberra this weekend.
This construction site was a hive of activity last year, but work ceased around Christmas and the site has lay dormant ever since. The 17-apartment development is half complete as the construction companies involved, Bay Building Investments, Bay Constructions and Morgan Building and Property Maintenance, went bust and have gone into voluntary administration. But Newcastle's Scaflink, based at Wickham, which erected scaffolding on the King Street site, is now owed $350,000. Scaflink creditors refused to speak on camera today, but they met with Administrator James Shaw at Ferrier Hodgson. He'll investigate the assets available and whether liquidation is a possibility. But Scaflink's debt of $350,000 doesn't sound too bad compared to the 4 other building companies. Their debts total $37 million and could rise even further. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.